Hi and welcome to Sillett and Reevesy. My name's Darren Reeves.
And my name's Neil Sillett.
And we are...
Sillett and Reevesy.
Exactly. And there's been lots going on in the sporting world this week against Sill. I've been watching some of it. I don't know what you've been... I know you've been playing some of it. You've been playing some golf yesterday.
I had a hack round yesterday, yeah.
You did? Where were you?
Near Basingstoke, a place called Tilney Park, which was very nice. Recommend.
We should have done the podcast from there yesterday.
We should have done. Actually, it's a nice clubhouse, modern clubhouse. Great big parkland area, so 7,000 plus yards. And I managed to be on the first green, the par 5 in 2, and off it in 6.
Oh no! So you were on and off the back.
No, actually, I ended up with a par, but it felt like a 6 after being there for 2.
Of course.
But it was a lovely place. And yourself, you've been playing a bit?
I have. I've played yesterday and today at Old Thorns.
Right.
And I'm still dressed for the occasion.
Yeah.
But sadly, I'd say the golf wasn't as good as the condition of the course and the weather that I was playing in.
Yeah, we've had a bit better weather this week.
I've got to be honest with you, it's make the most of it. The early mornings are stunning at the moment. So yeah, the golf could be better. But what's happening in the golf world?
In the golf world, right? We had a bit of success last week. We talked up Joe Dean, the lad that doesn't practice like us. He doesn't have a warm up. He was 50-1, so we thought he was worth a follow last week in the Danish Open, and he managed to finish 5th. So 10-1 for anyone backing him each way.
Did you have anything on him?
No, I didn't have anything on him, but it was a nice return. He's going well again this week. So the DP World Tour's moved to the Belfry for the British Masters, hosted by Sir Nick Faldo, and currently Tyrrell Hatton out in front. Not sure how he's got on, being a live player, special exemption, I think, for the British Masters.
Do you think we're going to see more of that going on as live becomes more established?
Yeah, question mark whether it does
accepted.
become more established. I think there's a lot of people that are in it saying that they perhaps made mistakes going over, but the amount of money will keep them in it. But then sustainability has to come into the equation at some stage. And they don't have as many tournaments, so if they're in the majors, and there'll be less and less of them getting the majors because they don't qualify in the official world golf rankings through live for only playing 54-hole tournaments. So that will come into their mindset at some stage, I'm sure, about that decision. But he's over here, he's playing well at the Belfry. I do think, although he's a little bit off the pace after halfway through round 2, Andy Sullivan, who's a local there, plays well there all the time. He's actually gone round, 1 over with a 5-iron.
What?
On the Brabazon.
What? Like just a 5-iron, not even a putter?
And he was in about 4 bunkers, and he's got out with a 5. Honestly, it's on YouTube somewhere.
Wow.
Andy Sullivan it's incredible. And he's a little bit of my fancy. But Joe Dean's going well again this week. It'd be a massive price right now to be in the top 5, so I'll be following him.
So when he's not practicing, is he just out with the lads?
He's out with the lads. He's a big lad, yeah.
He's not doing like...
not quite as big as me, but he's a big lad.
Well, okay, but he's out with the lads, having a good time and enjoying life.
Yeah, he is.
And playing well.
Playing well, and he plays nearly every week. So he's touring Europe and the Middle East, I guess. Looks a top guy, and he's one to look forward to, I think, because he's quite a refreshing attitude, There's a bit of a lad about him. Over in Atlanta, in Eastlake, the final of the American PGA season is this week, culminating.
Okay. So I'm guessing Justin Rose and all that bunch are over there.
They've missed out. I think Rosie. He might have missed out. Yeah, Tommy Fleetwood scraped in 26 or 27. So we've gone from 70 to 50, and this week the 30.
Right. Okay. Yes.
So the final 30 with no cut, play 4 rounds at Eastlake. I've visited it, never played it. Great city, Atlanta. I actually sat next to, went out for lunch with a football coach there, and I didn't know who he was, but the football coach kept going, "Oi, you know that is, don't you?" And I went, "Yeah, I know that is." And I had no idea who it was, but it was Usher.
Oh, okay.
I had no idea, did I? But think like Usher. But that's over at Eastlake, and what happens is this tournament. It's like a handicap, so the leader of the FedEx Cup gets a 10-shot start.
Right.
Second gets 8 shots, 6 shots, 4 shots, and so on.
And everyone else has got to catch him.
And they've got to catch him. But Scheffler played yesterday the number one,
Yep.
and he shot 6 under, moving him from 10 to 16 under. Next best overnight was 8 under. So he's 7-2 on now. If you want to make 30% on your money, go and back him at 7-1 because he's not going to lose this now. I think it would be his first FedEx Cup win.
Right.
McIlroy has 4, Tiger has 6 or 7. So a bit of monopoly with the top 2 players last.
I need to watch this. I watch the majors, but this FedEx Cup thing, this is all new to me. So
Right,
I'm sure
okay.
it's new to a number of people, because if it's new to me, I bet you there's other people out
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
You know, you're properly into it. I'm properly into golf, but
Yeah.
I'm learning, you know, about this, and I haven't had a chance to really follow it. So,
Yeah, so it's,
so I will. I look at the scores sometimes and see who's leading stuff, but I don't
it helps
think about
them
the
plan their
format.
season a little bit. So
Okay.
there are events that there's now 15, forgetting the term they use, but super events
Yeah.
that they have to play in, the top 50 players to keep their cards, etc., and to qualify for the majors. So
Yeah.
the 15 lead up to, and that 1 or 2 of those are majors, lead up to these final 3 weeks of the season, like the league table. And Scheffler's won 5 tournaments or 6 tournaments. Schauffele's won 4 or 5, so their points are huge.
Yeah.
That's why they get the start.
And they've been dominating the majors as well, to be
They
fair.
haven't they? Yeah,
definitely,
So,
definitely.
Yeah, interesting. And then, unbelievably, I think there's 1 week off in America, and then they call it the wraparound season, starts again in September. So September through to the end of November. Then there's a December break where they have some tin pot tournaments.
Don't they go off to South Africa and Dubai and
They
various
go
places
to
out like
China and they go
Right.
to Australia, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So they go around the world a little bit, and then it gets going again in Hawaii the end of January.
Oh, mate,
So,
if only we were on that golf tournament.
Maybe
it'd be
our
good enough.
January podcast can come
Well,
from Honolulu.
We need to get some free press passes. You know,
we do, don't we?
Yeah,
Come
we
on,
need to
you
have a word.
PGA Tour. Come on.
Correct. So that's the golf, Sil.
Yeah.
As we discussed, you know, we're now fully into the football season with
Yep.
the Premier League and the EFL, and we keenly follow that. You know, you've spent your life working in football and probably talk about football more than any other sport. What's been going on this week?
Yep. Strong start from Manchester City, which I didn't predict, to be honest. I thought they might be a bit
you
slow
did,
out the gate.
as they usually are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they've had a very strong start. Maybe fixtures favoured them a little bit. Chelsea wasn't the toughest first game. I think they were sat back a little bit.
and I know I said last week, same old Chelsea in a disarray, but they had a good result this weekend, didn't they?
Yeah, I don't think anyone saw that coming, did they? With
No.
the disarray around the football club as well. There's people there being laid off, and people left out of the squad that people didn't expect to be left out of the squad.
Well, I know Sterling has been told go and find another club, hasn't he?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I believe. And Madueke, who I wouldn't put in my starting 11 for Chelsea,
Yeah.
you know, because I think he's more worried about his hair than he is anything else, goes and scores a second half hat trick in what, 10,
And gets
12 minutes?
picked by my man Carsley for the England squad.
Well,
So
there we go.
yeah.
And you've been telling me Carsley, mate, since about February.
Yeah, Carzo's the man. He's the man. Made me giggle watching his first interview and press conference with the British media or global media.
Yeah.
But he's picked a few of the lads that he's had in the under-21 squad.
Yeah.
But going back to the Premier League, I think there's not too many shocks. My fancy for a top 4 place, Tottenham. Big result against Everton, and that was a little bit of a big poor performance. So they've had a 3-0 home loss and a 4-0 away loss. Everton, they need to pick
and
things
really
up.
bad for England goalkeeper Jordan Pickford.
Yeah,
You know,
and another example in it of goalkeepers and defenders being asked to do things that maybe, 5 years ago they certainly wouldn't have been asked to do, and certainly possession on the ball. And now criteria of a goalkeeper has changed from being can he come and catch it, can he come and punch it, to be can he play.
Yeah. Well, the goalkeeper I've been feeling really sorry for the last year, and my son will agree with me, is
Aaron
Ramsdale. Correct.
Yeah.
You know, and has he gone to Southampton? Has that happened this week?
It's transfer deadline today, and it looks
is.
like it's going to be done.
Yeah, he needs to be playing, because I felt he had a good season for Arsenal and then just got dropped for Raya, who also had a good season, and of course they progressed further.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of that was to do with Saliba back in defence.
Yeah, Saliba's been magnificent, hasn't he? Yeah.
For sure.
The recruitment team, I know this through inside info, really fought hard to keep him at the club, because he'd had a loan period which hadn't gone very well. Saliba, when he went, signed for Arsenal, then went abroad on a loan. so there was question marks over his future.
Wow.
But they insisted on giving him another chance, and it's worked out. And for me now, he's the most accomplished left-sided centre-back around.
He seems to be absolutely invincible, and,
Yeah.
and for Arsenal, that's a huge. Let's say Harrison being an Arsenal fan,
Yeah.
we keep an eye on it.
Well,
And
what he has for me is he has time,
yeah,
and that's a sign of a top player. Right. So, balls knocked over the top where you think, oh, the striker's got a chance. He gets there in time and gives himself time to deal with it.
yeah.
And then when...
And is that all to do with the sort of balance of your body and the posture
a little
of it
bit,
all?
The way, the movement and the fluidity of his movement, agility over
predicting
short,
where people are
that's
around
the thing.
him.
He knows where it's going and gets there early and doesn't amble there and think, I've got this. He gets there quickly. He's a strong, quick, athletic defender, one you'd pay millions and millions for now.
Of course.
So Arsenal had a good start. I mean, your man Raya, one of the most unbelievable saves you can ever see.
Is that the double save?
The double save. The first save you'd sort of expect him to make.
Yeah.
But the second save, I mean,
got up, didn't he? Really
Watkins
quick.
should have scored.
Yes.
He's got half a goal plus to aim at, and if he heads it on the floor, it's a goal. But it's some save he's managed to make. So I was very much in the pro Ramsdale camp.
Yeah.
When Raya came, and I was a little bit, can't do this. I don't mean that's fair, but football's never fair. Raya's proved to be a good signing, I think.
Well, it'll be interesting, won't it, to see how Ramsdale does at Southampton with I don't quite know where their defence will stand in the Premier League. Obviously, it did well in the Championship last season.
Yep.
And they've come up. Time will tell.
Yeah, he will be a big signing for him. It's a little bit of a kick in the teeth for Gavin Bazunu.
Yeah,
who had his loan spell at Pompey. Ex-Man City, who Southampton have paid similar money to what they're going to pay for Ramsdale, I believe.
Right, okay.
But you have to make these strong decisions, and he looks like he's done that, or the recruitment team have done that at Southampton. He's going to have his work cut out, because I think they'll have an awful lot to do in their own 18-yard box. But I quite like Jack Stevens, and Bednarek. I think.
Well, they're all
okay.
Premier League players.
And they'll play a three. He'll continue his belief of playing through the thirds. So they'll make mistakes and they'll be pressured into mistakes. But hopefully for Ramsdale's sake, he has a good season. Get back in the England picture.
Well, I think so. I think it'll be good for him.
Yeah.
And so now Liverpool, they've got new manager, good start, solid start to the season. Sort of carried on where they left off, really, for Klopp.
Yeah.
I don't see much change. Have they made any signings?
They look like they made one, because there's a totally different Barnet on Mo Salah, wasn't there? He had a Barnet more like mine than yours, and he was a dark Reevesy Barnet previously, but he's gone for the proper shaved look. I think he looks sharper.
Yeah.
Looked clean in his mind as well, the way he played the other day. Fresh again, and I think that was live. That's a problem for defenders. One thing I've always a line my old fella gave me when I started scouting back in the 80s for him was, imagine you're playing against someone, and a fresh, lively Mo Salah, someone you don't want to play against.
No, absolutely. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I've watched him a few times play for Liverpool when I've had the chance to go and see him, and he's so sort of tiny, isn't he? Sort of, you don't realise, and but he's everywhere. So fascinating. I love that.
Lively.
We've said about Everton down the bottom. Who else have we got down the bottom? Who's had a struggle?
Well,
Ipswich have had a tough start, though, haven't they?
Yeah, two tough games.
Yeah, I don't think we can judge them yet. Really.
And McKenna changed the team for the League Cup game, which didn't quite work in his favour.
No,
but it would not be a priority.
Wimbledon, wasn't it?
Away at Wimbledon, they were up in the game, and then Wimbledon fought back and then came through on penalties. But would he be upset? Yeah, he's upset at losing the game, but it would not be on his calendar to carry on in the EFL trophy. No. It's simply to try and stay in the Premier League.
It's one job,
absolutely.
And that's it. And,
they've made a barrage of signings.
Yes,
there are an awful lot of signings, and some that.
Has your godson been playing?
He's started done okay. Yeah. Liam Delap has done well. Finn Delap's made an appearance for Burton Albion.
Oh, okay.
So Finn is 19 now, and he's going well. So Rory's sprogged a couple of players there as well. Yeah,
absolutely. Is he managing him?
He's sort of he's playing. He started playing paddle tennis. Rory. He's,
I don't think I've ever watched it.
No, it's the new fad. It's
not like an oar that he's using, not that sort of paddle.
Well, it looks a little bit like an oar, but it's a bit rounder. But he started playing that, and he cycles still miles and miles, far more than my 3 miles a day.
I really hope we get him on here one day.
We'll get
have
him
a chat
on,
with him
yeah.
about his career and his boys and so on.
And his boats and his fishing. He loves his fishing.
Does he?
Oh yeah. His rockets. He's a fire starter to that.
Oh really?
Oh, he loves it. We used to have barbecues around the back at Derby and in his garden, and he'd send rockets through the estate, mate. He would. Great big 30-pound rockets that go flying through the estate.
Oh my God!
And actually, the current England manager saw 1 or 2 fly past his front window.
Oh really?
Yeah,
One of his neighbours.
Height, yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my word!
So,
sounds
we'll have to
dangerous
get Dilap on. Yeah.
Now looking down into the Championship and the EFL and so on. Obviously, I always keep my eye on Portsmouth, and there's a few teams that have set their stall out early in that league. We've had Mark Chamberlain on and Andy Orford, 2 ex-Portsmouth footballers, and with great careers for them.
Yep.
So, we all keep an eye on it. I feel Portsmouth have been a bit unlucky at the start of this season, and I can never really decide, should they have lost those games or should they have won those games?
Yeah.
Really.
No, you're right. They'll be in a position now where they should have had another 4 points.
Yes.
For sure. And
if it was after 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that could come back to haunt them, but really you'd have to say they've just got to take the encouragement of the performances they've had.
Three solid starts.
I wouldn't have given 3 points out of the first 3 games with Middlesbrough, Luton and Leeds.
And to be unbeaten.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to take the positives out of that. It's a good start. Yeah. And 2 tough away games where you come away unbeaten at Leeds and Middlesbrough is a massive positive. Anyone in the league would take that.
They've got to be the 2 favourites, haven't they, for that league?
They're right up there with being the favourites, for sure. Sheffield United, I guess, would be up there as well. Burnley would be up there, wouldn't they?
Well, anybody that's dropped down, really,
they've got the money
you'd expect that to be,
squad,
and we'll carry on having the money, for it.
Yeah.
But no, so we've taken, Portsmouth have taken points off of Middlesbrough and Leeds already.
Yep.
Who are the teams that have set their stall out?
Well, I mean, it's been a bit of a mixed start, really, in the Championship. But
the old iPad's overheated, Sil. We're going to have to pop it in front of us just there.
So, for me, the Leeds camp and the way they play, I think they're going to be tough to keep out of the top 2.
Right.
They'll be disappointed at that start. They'd expected 3 points.
Of course they would have done.
But they would have taken the positives out of that they came back.
Yes.
And they weren't beaten when they should have been, probably. Yep. Having said that, the first 10 minutes of that first game,
they should have been out. They should have been outside, out of the way.
And if you take those signs that the way they played in the first 15 minutes, if that is the way they're going to play, they won't be far away at all.
No, that's it. And it's only 2 points. And at the end of the day, if you're going to win the league, you're invariably 10 points ahead or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
So you get what you deserve.
League One, Birmingham have spent absolute fortunes.
Who's manager at Birmingham now?
The manager, good question. The manager at Birmingham,
I can't answer that one.
You stumped me there.
I'll
get it in a second.
We'll Google that one.
Because I do know. But Palomine Joe Carnell is head of recruitment there, and with the American ownership, which includes NFL legend Tom Brady, they've been splashing the cash. They're really intent on building the club within the city in terms of logistically and building it to compare against the Villa. And they put a £10 million bid in for a League One team. That would be surely a record.
Wow.
For Jay Stansfield at Fulham today.
But isn't it just because they've got the gate receipts every week of a good stadium?
They can fill that, and the stadium and the sponsorship that's being attracted by the new ownership, for sure.
Even though they're down, they really are a team that are championship.
Yeah, and they've started well,
position.
So they won't be far away at all. You'd expect them to win that league, Big start for them, and if they're spending money on players, they signed Lyndon Dykes for over £1 million, who's a Scottish international, would have gone to the Euros with Scotland, but for injury. From QPR, so he was left out of QPR squad, and everyone thought he'd be going somewhere higher, but he dropped down the league, but probably for more money,
More money, and maybe just for one season.
Yeah, probably.
What about the likes of the teams that were there and thereabouts but didn't go up last season, like Bolton and Peterborough? I'm guessing they're all going to be in the mix.
Yeah, Bolton had a little bit of a sticky start. Peterborough won't be far away, so Darren Ferguson will lead them. I think they'll be up there again. So they've had a couple of good results, and I think they'll be close in that league this season.
Mm-hmm.
Your likes of Rotherham will go up and down that between the Championship and League One. They won't be far away from that as well, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Evans has gone back there after a couple of other spells. I might need one if I was manager, but he will need a bigger chair or bigger dugout. That man's twice the size of me, mate.
I'd have
Steve
to see
Evans.
him. I'd have to see him.
You've got to have a look at Steve Evans.
Like
and he
twice
does
the
this
size,
crazy little dance at the end of last season, mate. Leave it. Steve, leave it.
If he's doing a good job.
Yeah,
then
well,
that's
people
fine.
recruit Steve Evans. Owners like Steve Evans because he has a record at that level, which is a positive record, and he gets teams promoted. So you'd expect Rotherham to be there or thereabouts with him.
Gotcha. Harrison, did you Google that manager of Birmingham City for me?
We will get him. He's poor that I can't remember.
It's amazing.
But I've got a million other things I'm trying to remember it.
No, we'll get it. We'll curious.
Get that, yeah.
So that's football world.
Yep.
For this week, we've got the transfer deadline literally today.
Away, yeah.
So we almost should have done the podcast tomorrow to talk about that. Maybe there's another one. I don't know.
I mean, the strange one on that is Ivan Toney, isn't it?
Well, he's not played at all this season. They've kept him out of the way, haven't they? But I've not heard anything.
The latest is he's going to Saudi Arabia for 40 million. And
it just
really,
feels like a cop-out.
That number, I mean, yeah, salary-wise, it's probably triple what he would earn
of course.
an Arsenal or Chelsea. But
Yeah.
you can't. For me, I can't believe that no one's going to pay 45 million for him in the Premier League.
Not after the fact that he hardly played last season because he was banned.
Yeah.
Come on, that's.
And he's fresh as a daisy.
Do you know what? If you were his agent and you got him a deal like that, you'd take it, wouldn't you? Thinking about it,
Saudi.
You'd just take whatever.
As an agent, you'd be pushing him for that for sure, with 5 or 10% of the number. But I just think he's a current England squad player. Any one of the top 8, with the possible exception of Manchester City, should have a go with him for 18 months, 2 years.
But it's just, for me, it's just that fact that he had, was it 6-9 months out of the game?
Yeah.
In a season, it's, I don't know. There's a question mark for me.
Right.
Even though he's been in the England team, and he's come on. I thought England looked better when he came on off the bench during the Euros, if I'm honest.
Yep.
But right
So
now,
that's an interesting one. Yeah.
Now,
so let's talk about. I've got a name for you, right?
Go on.
Lando Norris, right?
What can you tell me?
I'll tell you about Lando Norris.
You tell me what you know about Lando, mate.
Formula One.
Right. Okay. Well, so Formula One is back on track now. They had 3 weeks off, and 4 weeks off if you add it all up. But they were at Zandvoort at the Dutch Grand Prix. For the Dutch Grand Prix this week. Now, I was at the inaugural Dutch Grand Prix in 2021.
Right.
There, working in Paddock Club and watched Max Verstappen come across the line. And then 2022, Max Verstappen comes across the line at his home Grand Prix. 2023, Max Verstappen. It was just like, it was the Max show.
Grand old day.
Well, Max had his worst result, coming second.
Did he?
Yeah, at the Dutch Grand Prix this
Who
weekend.
won that then?
Well, as you said, Lando Norris in the McLaren. And as a Brit, I'm cheering on the Brits all the time. That's what makes me follow Formula One. But it's a team sport, and the money is in the teams. They earn the money who pay the drivers.
Okay.
But as fans, you follow your
driver,
favourite drivers.
right? Yeah.
That's what you do. And Lando Norris won with a 22-second margin over Verstappen. Absolutely showed him how to do it, and I think there's a massive sea change in Formula One, and I think he'd sort of laid it down on the table, going right. And I genuinely think we've got a battle on it. Even though Verstappen is 70 points ahead in the championship, Lando Norris could go out and win the last 9 races. It's
How many points do they get for a win?
25 points for a win.
Right.
But Lando Norris on the last lap on old hard tyres, which are the slowest tyre you can get, hard, medium, soft, he set the fastest lap of the race on the slowest tyre that had been used for maybe 35 laps. It had been worn down, a lot of rubber had been sort of worn off. So it should have been the slowest conditions. And he went out and hit the fastest lap. So it was, I loved it, Sil. You can imagine I was there absolutely loving it. And the Mercedes, though, which have won 2 out of the last 3 races, in Hamilton, at the British Grand Prix and in Belgium, They were nowhere.
Right.
They for some reason they just were nowhere.
And would a car suit a track?
Yeah, it's track specific to the some cars are better at some things, whether it's corners, low corners, fast corners, straights, whatever it is, and whether it's low downforce, high downforce, accelerate, whatever. There's so many variables.
Yeah.
Different tracks will favour different cars and even different drivers. So and that's what you're dealing with. But it all comes out in the wash over a season, as most sports do. We all sit there and go, Pompey were unlucky to concede a penalty. But they were, on the flip side, lucky to get one in injury time at Leeds. So I think in sport it all balances out, but you always feel the bits where you're hard done by more. And when it goes good, you go, well, I'm here to get good. That's normal. I'm just doing my job. So
there's 9 races to go, right?
9 races to go, of which we've got another one this weekend. So they're at Monza in Italy, Ferrari land now.
Right, okay.
So in Holland it's Verstappen land, so everywhere's orange. You go to Monza, everywhere is red. Right. Ferrari red. Everywhere, and it's amazing. So it's the only country that follows a team rather than a driver.
Okay.
So you go to Italy, everything's Ferrari, okay, and it's brilliant. It's a culture to them. And I was working in Milan earlier this year, and I love the cathedral and the square in Milan.
Magnificent,
it's stunning, isn't it? And my hotel wasn't that far from the track, and I was like, I really want to go. But it was show day, and I thought, oh no, if I end up going out there and then something, so it just didn't happen. So Monza's a track I've not been to yet, and my bucket list things to do, Sil, are to go to every Formula One circuit.
Right, okay.
Whether I'm working there, whether I'm...
Is that a plug for a bit of work, more work?
So that's it. I was talking to Charlie this morning, actually. So Charlie Feather, that works at Opus Events and various other things, mates with Eddie Jordan. He's at the cricket today at Lord's.
Right.
Texting me saying, Darren, when are we meeting up? What's happening? But he's off to Lord's to watch the cricket today, so he's having a lovely time.
He is, because he's seeing some great stuff as well. So Gus Atkinson, who we talked about earlier in the series, he scored his first 100 today.
Right.
Which for a bowler is some feat. Earlier in the year he took 8 wickets on his debut at Lord's, and then today he scored 115 or 117, batting at number 7 or 8.
Have you got this on in the background while we're talking now?
So he's done that. England with 421 against the Sri Lankans. Joe Root, who we got to have a word about, really.
Yes, we have. I saw this
143 yesterday. He's now moved with it. He's in the top 6 or 7 all-time run scorers in Test cricket. Yes. Joe Root. He's 33 and says he could carry on for another 4 years, which would take him at his current average of 56.8 to very close to Sachin Tendulkar, who's the all-time leading run scorer. So
he's the rock star of one of the rock stars of cricket, really, isn't he?
And to put him in next to Tendulkar makes him an absolute legend.
When I look at the players England have had over the last few years with Anderson and Root and Stokes, and I'm sure you could name a few others, And again, I've not followed cricket as much now as I did in the 90s with your Gooches and your Athertons and your Bothams and and your Viv Richards and all those and various other Curtly Ambrose. I could list all those exactly. Yeah. And to me, they're cricketing heroes. The guys that are playing right now are right up there at that level, aren't they?
Yeah, they are, Root's numbers are phenomenal. I mean,
why is that? Why are we producing better cricket or this level of cricket?
Good question. A quote from Rob Key, the director of English cricket. If you don't want to train, don't want to put every ounce of energy into making yourself better, then you won't be part of our squad.
Right.
So there's a little bit of a clue.
And every generation is all about progress.
Yeah.
Every generation we see the world getting faster. Now, whether that's to do with the internet and computers and how we use technology, should make us all better. But I know you've said many times that sport is relying on technology a bit too much.
A bit too much, probably, yeah. Although cricket, I can see massive advantages in using technology and where batsmen hit it and where they can't hit it enables you to set a field much more succinctly than you would.
Of course, so it's just statistics basically, isn't it? And seeing it graphically is much easier
gives you
than
an advantage. You've still got to put the ball in the right place when you're bowling.
Yep.
You've still got to catch it when you're in the slips or in the field, and you've still got to hit it when you're batting. So those things won't change. But what it does do is makes them focus, a bowler to focus on an area where a batsman is probably weak, which we wouldn't have known, 10, 15 years ago.
Because it would have just been in the mind of, I've seen that, I've seen that, I've seen that. And we forget, don't we, as human beings? Computers don't forget. Everything is there. Do they do that in football as well? So I know when I see the whiteboard in a dressing room with some little magnets on it and so on, we've seen that for years, and little flip charts and so on. Are there not big screens that show the stats of every team that come up?
Of course there are, yeah. So the team analyst will put forward a presentation, usually on a Wednesday or Thursday, to the group. These are the strengths, these are the weaknesses, these are the regular passing patterns, this is where they create their goals from. This player will cut in every time on his left foot if he's playing out on the right, and he hits 9 out of 10 balls into that space, into the channel. Be aware when he makes that move, that's where you've got to be.
I think I need to bring this into the music industry, mate. This is where he plays the right notes. This is where he plays the wrong notes. This is where he sings flat. And
when you look at it or speak about it in those details, is it becoming too robotic? You know what I mean? But again, you've still got to make that run. He's still got to chase. The defender still has to chase.
And you've still got to make a decision.
That's the thing.
And a lot of it is still instinctive. And that's the thing. I think that's what we love about it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's attention to detail that makes brilliance.
Yeah.
And if as long as we use that balance, but you've still got to use instinct at the end of the day, and that's the human nature of it all.
And the top players, the De Bruynes, the Salah with the timing of his runs, those decisions that you spot on, it's those decision makers that can make the right decision under pressure with 50,000 people watching them and millions watching
another
TV.
Song here, you are.
Yeah. that are the real elite.
Yeah.
Because we can all keep a football up, and you've heard them in the stands. Oh, I could have scored that. You couldn't, because there's thousands of people watching you. The pressure changes everything, and those decision makers are the best.
And do you know what? That's interesting, because for me, being a performer, you know, whether I'm playing a local church hall or whether I'm playing the theatre, King's Theatre in Portsmouth, or whether I'm playing an arena in France or Wembley Stadium. For me as a musician, the more the pressure, the more I get out of it.
Yeah.
And so, and I know when I played Hammersmith and it was all recorded as an album for Queen, when I listen back to it, it's like an out-of-body experience. I'm like, I'm not that good. That's not me playing that. But it is. But it's those pressures are what lift you to make those decisions.
Yeah.
And what's interesting for me, again, as an amateur golfer, is when you go and hit it onto the wrong tee and there's a group of 4 balls stood on that tee and you're like, oh no, I've got to... You know that feeling?
Yeah.
For me...
That's
I'll guarantee you,
isn't it?
No, for me, I'll hit a better shot.
Better shot, right.
Because there's people watching and there's a consequence to it.
Yeah.
And so therefore my focus levels... So what I'm doing is comparing...
When we play as a pair then, next time, I'm going to have a tape recorder in my pocket, making loads of crowd noises and singing your name.
Honestly, mate.
And then you might not have sliced it into the bushes.
When we were in that match play pairs, first round, you'd sent it on to the 18th and get us a playoff hole.
Yeah.
Who was it who birdied that play?
Well, that's right.
There you go. Right. Brilliant.
But
we jest and laugh.
We
Sil, you spent last week... in France, whilst I was at Chelmsford Racecourse,
yes,
and you said to me,
back Alaskan Gold,
Alaskan Gold.
Yeah.
So I was there telling everyone.
No, it finished last at 5.
And I've got to say, I was sat there in the main enclosure with the owner, John Holmes. What a lovely guy! He was so hospitable and welcoming. I'd never really heard of Chelmsford. You get your Aintrees and your Newmarkets and your Goodwoods, where we've been a couple of times this year. But I'd never really heard of Chelmsford, so I went along and I properly got treated like royalty, mate. They were so lovely and wonderful, every second of it. But the horse racing itself, it was all under floodlights.
Yeah.
And I've never watched that before, so that was a new experience.
Yeah.
But also, because I was sat and being wined and dined...
You didn't watch much
racing
at all.
There we started, But what you're going to really laugh, so... I'm known for not having the best eyesight in the world, on the golf course or wherever I am. And we set everything up at the racecourse. We had a singer called Kyla Nicole Healy from New York, jazz singer, And so we were putting on an event there, and then we went to Abbey Road Studios and did a session at the weekend at Abbey Road, which was another story, but a total joy.
Right.
And so anyway, we went back to the hotel to get changed, and it was like, right, everyone, you got 20 minutes. We'll meet you at 5:30 back in the lobby to get back for 6:30 racing.
Right.
So I'm in the lot, and I think, I've got to do a few accounts, this and this. So I'm sat there for 15 minutes, and I go and open my suitcase to find, and I had to dress up to find I only had shorts.
Oh, no.
But I had to wear shirt and tie and jacket, right? So I'm like getting these visions of, oh no, this is going to look ridiculous. You know, smart shoes, black socks, boxer shorts, and so I had to rush off, mate, to the local outlet centre, which was a 15-minute drive in rush hour.
Oh, lovely.
Up in Braintree. Get some black trousers. I literally did it in 25 minutes.
Yeah.
They're all waiting for me in the lobby. I'm running in with a boss bag, right? I get in, I get changed.
I would have gone to Tesco, mate, and just or Asda got some Georges.
Well, it wasn't that far away, but anyway, I thought, I've got to put my contact lenses in. I thought I better go look smart, you know, wear the shades for an hour. And I'm walking out of the hotel room. I thought, God, those numbers on the door seem. It doesn't matter. Let's go. They're all waiting for me. Get there, and I get there. I found, because I've got different screens, I'd put my contact lenses
Wrong way round.
in the wrong way round in my eyes, and there was no swapping it. All my glasses were back at the hotel, mate. I couldn't read the TV. I couldn't read the menu. I couldn't read the booklet. I couldn't read my phone, and mate. Honestly, it was the most ridiculous situation. I must have seemed the most incompetent person there. But these things happen, but you get on with it. But
you enjoy it overall, though?
Just looking around and so on. I could watch everything, you know, but don't ask me what the number on the horse
right,
was.
okay.
But no, we had a lovely time up there. Chelmsford City Racecourse, you know, big shout out to John Holmes up there.
Okay.
And we must go up there one night.
Yeah, we'll go up there, yeah. There's some big racing on this weekend.
Where are we?
A couple of group races. Up the top of the A3 at Sandown.
Yes.
At Esher.
I know it very well, mate.
Yeah.
We go go-karting there in the middle of it. There's a Daytona
yeah. So there's a golf course there as well.
There is a golf course, yeah.
Yeah,
what are you doing? Anyway, right.
And some nice 2-year-olds there tomorrow. So one we followed first time out, and one at Salisbury back in mid-July, called Royal Playwright, trained by Andrew Boulding up at Highclere. It's got one called Fields of Gold to beat, but
another song title. I always look for song titles.
Sting,
yeah,
a
absolutely.
bit of Sting.
Yeah.
But I fancy Royal Playwright to tell us a good story next week here and come home first tomorrow. It's about 5-2. Unlike last week's Big Drifter, Alaskan Gold, I fancy it strongly.
Okay, well that's good to know. Let me know tomorrow though, before the race.
Right. if it isn't fancied so much.
So that's up at Sandown, and I love Sandown in Esher. So if you've never been along, go play golf and go karting, and you're in the middle of the horse racing track. And if you're coming up from Portsmouth on the train, you go straight past it as well. I think great place. Anywhere else going on this weekend, or is that the main one?
That's the main one. There's racing all over the place really at the weekend.
Course.
And then a bit of football next week. A couple of little football meetings next week.
Any big matches? Any?
Nothing big. No. I'll just be watching a bit on TV. I think this weekend.
Yeah, well, I know Arsenal are on TV. Harrison's already told me that. We've got to be home for that. In fact, he was on at me. When are we getting?
Arsenal got Wolves, Brighton.
Brighton, right, 5:30 kickoff, I think. So that'll be interesting. And you work with Brighton now and then, don't you?
I did. I had a little spell with Brighton in prior to it being cut short by COVID.
Right.
So it was that year I left Portsmouth to join Brighton. But
what were you doing there?
I was involved in the academy recruitment. But as I say, COVID knocked that plan that we had for 6. So it was a short-lived spell at the club, but well-run club.
For somebody that only knew academy football, I think people like my kids who play for Petersfield Town Juniors and have worked up through, and if they're any good, they can get into a club academy, and a lot of them all talk about Chelsea down here, to be honest, more than any other club. What age ranges were you looking at Brighton? Well, are you down at those younger ages, or are you talking really. 16 to 19?
My age groups were 14 to 19.
Right, okay.
But academy recruitment starts at 6.
Yeah,
so
I'm sure.
It's a great. I mean, I find that a little bit crazy.
Well, mate, it's the same in go-karting. They've got those little 6-year-olds with these helmets on their head. They look like wobbly toys, mate. I tell you. And but they're out there and they're doing it at 6 years old. You know, and that's, I think, and I, again, comparing it to music, we'll go onto YouTube, and the culture in China gets kids playing musical instruments much earlier in life, younger in life, and doing hours and hours of practice. We're very much, we'll probably start about 6 or 7 and be like, just do 5 minutes a day. Don't make it an argument.
No.
But if you want excellence, you've almost, they're going to get. I sort of only see it going one way, that we're going to end up looking at 5 and 4-year-olds doing these things, because
of the 22 players that went with England to the Euros, only one wasn't involved at under 10s.
Right.
In a category.
And who was that number?
Good question.
Okay.
I think it was Jared Bowen.
Okay. But he looks like, he always reminds me a little bit
Bowen
of
did come in late.
He reminds me a bit of Jamie Vardy, that comes up through the ranks, through all the sort of non-league teams.
He was at
and everyone
Hereford,
else,
wasn't he? One of my dad's old clubs, Hereford.
Okay.
And then in Hereford to Hull, I believe, and then Hull to West Ham.
Okay, so he's grafted his way.
He has,
rather than any other
having
way.
all the academy training.
Yeah, exactly. So
he's an exception.
All of that fascinates me, and in fact, there was a footballer who played with Harrison back in the under-14s called Ollie Folks,
right?
And Ollie was in centre midfield, and Harrison was there playing with him, and you'd watch both of them, and I was like, oh yeah, they sort of seem better than the team they're playing in, if that makes sense. But where are the opportunities for them? I don't know, and so on. And in fact, I put Ollie's dad in touch with Andy Alford,
right?
And he's just won under-16s Player of the Year down at Pompey.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, so I feel like, where's my 10%?
Well, hey, you'll always feel that, because scouts don't get rewarded at all in football. That's crazy. I don't know why you do it.
You get your gig fee, basically.
Well, you rock up for a game and you get a couple of quid.
Yeah, exactly.
And a pie.
Yeah, well,
I've seen a lot of games.
Mate, now listen, so you were in France last week, and so you saw all the remnants of what I thought was a wonderful Olympic Games, and now it's all there for the Paralympics.
Yeah, and watched the opening show on Wednesday, which was delightful, I thought.
I didn't see any of it, mate. One of us was working.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
But no, that was lovely. And me and Becky, my wife, we walked. I actually hobbled from the Eiffel Tower, or a mile or so down past the Seine, up into the Champs-Elysees, and down past the Arc de Triomphe. It was lovely, and everything's still there.
I feel like you're on a film set when you're there, really. I love it so much. I was there back in March, and I could just walk around there and never get bored.
Yeah.
It's a
the problem is I'd walk so far, I had to sit down in a bar and have 5 pints.
Yeah, of course you did.
That's while Becky walked around the shops. But there you go, that's my little bit of France. And some stunning places. I mean, we stayed in Versailles, and the palace around Versailles.
And that's a place I've not yet been to.
Unbelievable. So, built in 1677 by Louis XI, I think.
Oh, you've done your history. You learnt a little bit while you were there.
And it was fantastic, stunning place, Yeah, but
it was the year after Cronenberg, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Or 11 years after Cronenberg.
Oh, sorry, have I got it wrong?
Yeah, 1666. That is.
Well, what year did you say then?
1677.
Oh, mate, I'm sorry.
No problem. Don't say sorry to me. Say sorry to Louis.
That's it. Anyway, so so we got the Paralympics to sit there and watch, and hopefully we'll get some UK gold medals. There was a cyclist that had a bit of a crash. He was, would have been up for a medal, but a bit upset she wasn't there. That was not so good. But the swimming's gone well.
254 contestants in the Paralympics, which is the biggest ever squad.
Right.
We've put together, so we should have some chances out of the number that big.
Yeah, well, it's again some brilliant opportunities. For people that in many years gone by.
Wouldn't have had that
opportunity. So I think it's brilliant. We should all support it and make it even more. So we've talked about everything I can possibly think of, unless we were going down the line of boxing or hockey, and I know absolutely nothing about those two sports.
What we've got to do is find out the Birmingham manager's name.
We do.
It's completely left me, and I know him.
So we've got Harrison sat here producing our podcast at the moment. He sat there on headphones, and what I didn't realise, he's actually watching the Formula One. Free practice one over in Monza, and it turns out Kimi Antonelli, the Italian driver, is actually in the Mercedes. Now he's 17 years old,
right?
So he's not. I think he's only been granted a super license early. Like the only other driver ever to get that was Max Verstappen. So he's like the next young and up and coming thing.
Right.
So he's been put into George Russell's Mercedes this morning just for practice.
Yeah.
Right, because you are allowed to do that. But there's talk about him getting the Lewis Hamilton's drive.
For
next year. Hamilton's off to Ferrari. So the 17-year-old is going to come in and show Max how to do it, I think. But he's just crashed.
Oh, no.
So he's come in for his first Formula One experience in Monza and
written
crashed.
off. How much are those cars worth?
Well, Do you know what? I was talking to Andy Stevenson, who works he's technical director for Aston Martin. Did an interview with him back in May at Monaco.
Yeah.
And he was telling me that there are 6,000 components in a Formula One car.
That's as many as there is in my ankle.
Well, it would be, and you don't want to be looking at his ankles, let me tell you. Each car's worth around $12 million.
Wow.
$12 million. They do everything in dollars in Formula One.
Yeah.
And
still 10 million quid. In my,
correct. And to crash one of those, and there was a big crash last weekend. Logan Sargent in the Williams has cost that team so much money in repairs, and it's all within a cost cap. So the more crashes you have, the less you can spend on development.
A bit like fantasy football with cars.
Well, that's exactly it. You know, so and because of this recent crash, Logan Sargent's lost his drive.
Really?
He's sacked.
Yeah.
Early. He's
Was he Frank Spencer of the Formula One? Or what?
Well, to be fair, he's not had the best of luck, and he's the only American driver. And where America has grown so much since Netflix Drive to Survive has come in, they've had to have an American driver. But he's just not had the luck really. So he's cost so much money with his crashes. Williams have sacked him and put in. What's his name? Oh no, I want to say.
Here we go. You've got one now.
I have it. I want to say Cannelloni or Campillo, but it's not. It's
Colapinto.
Colapinto. There it is. Yeah. So Colapinto, not Calapinto. It's Colapinto. He's in the Williams now. So we've got 2 rookies in there today, and Jack Doohan. The Australian Mick Doohan, remember him, the motorcyclist from Australia?
No.
You what?
No.
You really know nothing about your motorcycle.
Anything's got an engine in it.
Ex-world champion Mick Doohan, his son Jack, who I met in Barcelona at the Spanish Grand Prix in 2022. He was doing an interview on the stage, and I was there helping out and handed him his microphone and had a little chat. He's now got the Alpine drive for next season, so there's lots of new people coming into Formula One, and I think that's really important with every sport. I want to see the new players and the most exciting ones, like we did in the Euros with that Spanish player, what's it, Yamal or whatever his name is.
Lamar,
yeah. So I love seeing all of that.
It's good to see new talent, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Well, new managers. We'll talk about new managers.
Yes, go on.
Chris Davis is the manager of Birmingham City.
Right.
So he was with Ange at Tottenham, as an assistant, and he's had some international experience as well. But they've started well, so he could have and the spending power he's got, you'd expect him to have a good first season.
Yeah, you would. Well, look, I've just looked at the time, Sil. Yep. I've got a 2 o'clock appointment. We're going to get this out online tonight so people can have a look at it. And like everything, it's always yesterday's news you're talking about, but it doesn't matter because it's we're just having a chat. We talk about sport all the time. We thought, why don't we just sit and chat and actually share it with people that are interested in the same things we are. Anyway, just to let you know, we'll be back next week. We might have a guest with us. We don't know where we are. We're in my garden in Hampshire today, so this is a lovely sunny day. My name's Darren Reeves. This is Neil Sillett, and we are Sillett and Reevesy.
Bye for now.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Take care, mate.